Okay, welcome everyone. Stephen and Contreras with Compassionate Finance. Want to wish you a good morning. It's good to be with you today. Thank you for spending some time with us. We're going to be recording today's presentation, so be sure to look for an email and you can get this on video, pass it around to some peers who might be interested in this content. Of course, enjoy it on our Facebook channel, and our YouTube as well. I think the big thing is last time we left Batman and Robin, we were, stranded waiting for to have the conversation with the patient about how finance can actually, play a big part in that discussion. And so Dr. Baird kind of set the table really for what the doctor needs to have as far as the offerings of what kind of financial options are available. And now we're going to talk about maybe how we gear it up and tee it up with the patient so they are understanding the agreement that they're getting into and the options that are on the table, that they don't have to say, oh, I can't afford it, because what we're going to do today is create some affordability. So Dr. Baird, good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Had a little dental work. You can see kind of the red on my side here. Had an implant placed. My partner put it in last week, but I'm doing great, feeling good. I've been on the road traveling in the motorhome, but I made it back. Sorry about yesterday's schedule, but we'll get it on YouTube. I got on the road in the motorhome and had to get back here. So anyway, it's all good. It's all good. But looking forward to this part of our conversation about, what do we talk to the patient about? And I hear lots of different things from dentists across the country when they start talking about compassionate finance. One of the things I hear often is from teams also as well. They don't want to patients don't want to pay interest. They don't want to pay that kind of interest. Well, the truth is patients are used to paying interest. Doctors pay interest. Yes, if you're a Dave Ramsey follower and you've been doing a fantastic job on your finances, then yeah, you're going to want to stay away from any interest notes or loans and pay off all your credit cards and do that. And I've got a couple of my kids that follow that philosophy, and I've followed that philosophy to some extent. But the truth is that's really not what happens in 99.5% of households around the country. And so when we look at compassionate finance, why had we never done our own financing? And I talked about this last time, but the reason we never did is because we didn't know how. We didn't know how to charge interest to patients. We didn't know what, we'd been told not to do it from the front of the room, from all the lecturers and consultants, and who mostly are paid by third-party financing companies. And then the other is what if they don't pay me? Well, the fact is that even for patients that are charged zero interest, what I want you to understand is conventional third-party financing covers 30%, 40% to the max of that treatment plan. But they many times won't cover the total amount. And so what dentistry has been literally pushed to is dentists doing examinations and just telling patients, this is the one crown you need, or this is the one thing you need to have done. And what happens when they say five? We talked about it last time. You need 5 crowns, Bob. What will my insurance cover? Well, they're going to cover 1,500 and your portion is going to be 3,500. And then they say, can we just do one? And that happens 95% of the time across the US. And what's happened is dentists have gotten in their mind that, well, I might as well just tell them they need 1 crown, because if I tell them all of it, first of all, they're going to leave and go somewhere else, or we're not going to be able to get financing and we're going to get embarrassed, by going over that treatment plan with them. And then they say, oh, no, I either don't have good credit, or I couldn't get financing, or they'll just say, I don't want to do monthly payments. And that would be their excuse. So what do we tell the patient and how do we talk to the patient? Well, first of all, patients if you look at compassionate finance, and we call it A, B, C, D, and E credit. The A patient, and you can determine this in your own practice. We have best practices, but let's just say the A is 9.9% interest. That's a patient who could be approved for care credit at 12 months interest free. So that 12 months interest free is not really financing. It's just take your treatment plan. If it's 10,000, your payments are going to be 900 a month or whatever that is. Whereas with compassionate finance at 9.9, you could actually go out 60 months for financing. So we have a lot of A patients that will go that route. And some of our docs have even decided on A patients, they want to lower the interest rate to say 4.9. With B's, maybe 7.9. So that's a fair interest rate for somebody to pay to make monthly payments over 30 months or 60 months. It's better than, 12, 13, 15, 16 that the third party financing is going to do. But remember, this is in-house financing. This is you doing the financing, which allows you to have interest that's offsetting risk. But even those folks that charge zero interest, what I want you to understand is they're doing dentistry on patients who weren't going to do the dentistry. So you're doing 4 crowns extra. If it's a 5 crown scenario, you're doing 4 crowns extras that you weren't going to do. Yeah, Bruce, but what if they don't pay me? Well, you're going to get paid up front for about 20% down, which is going to cover your hard costs. In a CERAC example, on 5 crowns, $30, you got $150 worth of hard costs. And you're not talking about your team or your electricity or all that stuff. You're going to pay for that anyway, whether you do those extra 4 crowns or not. So what we have is we're getting to do 4 crowns, we're paying for it. And as we get multiple patients that are doing this, we've got revenue that comes in every month that is pandemic proofing our practice. But what about that patient, the C patient, the D patient, the E patient? C might be 11.9 or 13.9. Usually it's 13.9. The D, 15.9. The E, 17.9. And I have team members and doctors say, well, our patients don't want to pay 17.9. These people are getting an interest rate they deserve. They don't take good care of their money. They are poor credit, 540 subprime credit patients. So how do you help those folks? Well, we can now offer, when we're sitting down with a patient, I think a lot of times we focus on the interest rate, and that's not what you want to focus on. What you want to focus on is your monthly payment could do this. And so I'm going to give you an example. And this is something that has happened to me. We've done probably 50 times, but we're talking to the patient and we go through the scenario of you need $8,000 worth of dentistry. Now, what we do is we don't usually say it's $8,000. We say you need 2 root canals, you need 3 extractions, you need this, you need an implant over here, you need 3 crowns, you need this, and your total treatment plan is going to be $8,000. Patient says, well, what will my insurance cover? $1,500. Oh, the average person in the U.S. only has $4,000 in their checking account, in their savings account. But yet we're going to tell them they need to spend $6,000 in their mouth. They don't have it. So how are you going to help them? Oh, well, let's use Care Credit, or let's use whoever, third-party financing. And the patient says, at least the D's and E's say, oh, no, I don't want to do any financing. Now, so there's a mistake here. There's something happening here that you have to be aware of. That means, no, I don't want to do any financing. That means they got turned down at Best Buy for a TV about 3 weeks ago. And they know they have shit credit. Okay. They know it. So why would you do it? Why would you do the treatment on somebody who has lousy credit? And that's the thought process. And so as I'm sitting there talking to a patient, and we see that, yes, they pop up as a 17.9 or a 15.9 or whatever, which is different in every state. There's 38 states that actually do have. We spent close to $1 million to find out what are the rules and regulations in every state, and they change. So we have to stay on top of that. But what happens is that patient says, well, can we just do a little bit? Well, we could, but why don't we do this? If you could put 1,500 down, might be your insurance, or it might be coming up with 1,500. We've got a financing company that will, that accepts 95% of the patients, and we can get all this work done in a couple of visits or one visit. I've never had a patient say no to that. Yet most dentists are over on the other side saying, well, let's just do the one and let's just pace it out. Next year, we'll let insurance cover it. And then the next year and the next year. And that's total BS because the patient's not getting healthier. They're not getting better. So you might say, well, Bruce, why on earth would I want to put myself at risk doing dentistry on these individuals that are subprime patients, or for any patient for that matter? The A and B's, why don't I just take my money? Well, you could. You're also have an opportunity, instead of taking a 10% discount for the prime type patients, you're going to actually make some interest. And you're going to get to do more dentistry because you actually have financial arrangements that are more than just interest free for 12 months. You could go 30 months, 60 months. 95% of Americans make their payments on a monthly basis, and they do a good job of it. Now, there's some that are going to hose you. You have to understand that. So you ask that question, Bruce, why on earth would I do it? Why would I do the work, with my own hands and take a risk of not getting paid? Well, that's happening to you every single freaking time you do a PPO. You're doing the work and they're discounting your fee by 40%. You didn't get paid 40%. Oh, but you don't think about that. But what I'm saying is now this is a different way of thinking. 180 degrees, what you've been taught by people have an interest in your back pocket. What I'm telling you is now you have the opportunity to offer patients monthly payments. If you focus on the interest, yeah, some patients might say, well, I don't want to pay $17,900. But don't focus on that. Focus on getting the dentistry done in a single visit or short amount of time, and let the patient pay over a period of time. But I don't get my money right away. That's true, but you didn't do the work. If you don't go this route, you didn't get to do the work. So you're sitting on your butt on Dental Town. So let's rethink. Let's go back over here and say, okay, why not? Let's do the work, and let's look at the risk. And again, when we're talking to the patient, it's very easy for us to talk to the patient and say, Bob, why don't we just get it all done at one time? And we have a company that Compassionate Finance that approves 95% of the folks, and we can do it. Let's take a look. And what's neat about our software is you can actually look and see what your monthly payment will be. Monthly payment of 100, monthly payment of 140, monthly payment 180. And the patient many times will say, well, I think I can do $250 a month. That's when I say, or my team is instructed to say, well, you could do $250 a month, but why don't instead of doing 30 months, why don't we just do 48 months? That lowers your payments down to 140. And then when you get some cash or something comes up, refund from the IRS or something, you can just pay it off. There's no penalty. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to allow that patient to have a payment that's comfortable for them. And what happens if they don't pay us? That's the question. What if they don't pay us? Well, okay, first of all, 97% of the people who miss a payment, we get current. Compassionate Finance gets current within 28 days. So that's a lot better than your front office, which the average front office, 93% collection rate, 93.5% collection rate. So we're getting 90, a high percentage of these patients to pay on a monthly basis. And we do that work for you. Now, flip back. Well, yeah, but why would I do an e-patient? Because they have and we have the data. We have data on subprime that they defaulted over 17% of the time, meaning let's just say 1 out of 5 people default and quit paying their loan. Totally. We can't get them to pay. You say, well, I never want to do that. Well, why would you never want to do that? Because you've got 80% or 82.5% of these people who are paying you full term at 17.9% interest, at least in the 38 states that you can. So the question would be, Get your financial calculator out, figure that out. You're actually making more than your usual and customary fee by offering financing to somebody who is subprime, because the people who do pay offset the risks and the risk associated with those that don't pay. And again, rules and regs different in every state, but you have to understand now when I offer financial arrangements, I'm offering financial arrangements. I spend money for marketing and advertising, and these patients come in and I have no arrangements for them. It's just, well, what we can apply. Yeah, we have payment options here. Apply for third-party financing, of which 6 out of 10, and it depends on where you're at. If you're in Beverly Hills, you might have 8 out of 10. If you're in Granbury, Texas, you might have 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10. You don't know, but that means 6 out of 10 you're going to have to tell, sorry, man, gosh, we couldn't get the financing. And that patient who came in wanted you to do the work, now because they love you and they love your office and they love everything about you, now has to go down to the cheapo depot to get their dental work done, because it comes down to cost only. What you have to think of as a businessman, if I can create paper, debt paper that's owed to me, which this paper is owed to you as the dentist, that creates value. That actually is an asset. It's not a 30, 60, 90 account receivable. It's actually an asset. You could take that asset. We've had docs all across the country that have taken that and put it up as collateral for undervalued real estate, put it up for collateral to refinance their home, put it up for collateral to do a lot of things. So, but now when I'm explaining to the patient what the options are, yes, you can still do third-party financing if you choose to. That's fine. If you want the cash, that's fine. We have a lot of docs that decided they're not going to offer that anymore, because instead of having a 10% discount in their fee, they're picking up 7% interest. And they're able to push that 7% interest out over 30 months, 36 months, 40 months, whatever it is, 60 months. But if you focus on interest, especially with a subprime, 13.9, 15.9, 17.9, they're used to, these subprime patients are used to going not to a bank to get money. They're used to going to a pawn shop to get money. And why are you going to help these people? Because you get to do the dentistry. They're going to start paying you. If you do one contract, one case, and that's all you do of an e-patient, you're going to have a 83% chance of being successful. Yeah, it's a hell of a lot better than PPO, where that's automatically you've got a 60% chance of getting paid 60% and 40% chance of losing, your fee. But with this patient, you've got an 87%. Now, if you do 5 contracts with E patients, the worst of the worst credit patients, guess what? We know that 1 out of 5 is not going to pay, but 4 out of 5 will. If you've got 30 contracts, now you're creating your own financing. You're creating your own bank. This bank is going to create revenue that you've never seen in dentistry for sure. But to me, most importantly, you're going to be helping more patients than you've ever helped in your entire life. Because now, and I don't care if a patient comes in that's a migrant farm worker or they're I don't care what they are. I don't care if they're driving a crystal blue Mercedes. Believe me, I've been screwed by more people that have crystal blue Mercedes than I have by the guys that work in the pecan orchard. I can tell you that straight up. So I don't care. I don't care about that. All I have to now concentrate on is really 2 things. One is taking amazing care of my patients. Don't care about your financial situation. I'm going to take amazing care. And I have to train my team to be able to offer payment options that the patient can afford. Now, that doesn't usually happen in A and B patients, the prime patients. Yeah, they'll do financing interest free for 12 months. Great. You get to do the dentistry. Do you realize that if you didn't offer that 12 months interest free, that 63% of those would pay you cash because they have money and they would actually write you a check? But what about these other 3? What about these other 3 categories, the C, D, and E? Who's going to help them? Nobody. They're going to go down the street. Their dentistry is going to get worse. And you've already, as a dentist, said you're willing to take 40% off your price, but you're worried about not getting collections on full fee for service fees. But what if I am a PPO practice? What if I already have a reduction in fees? Why would I then want to finance patients? Well, even more importantly, now you're doing 5 crowns at a time and you're getting the entire 1,500 from the PPO. Whereas in reality, what you're doing now is you're getting 500 or 700 because the patient can only do 1 crown at a time. So I hope this makes sense. The American Dental Association will make you believe that we have a shortage of dentists. We have an access to care problem. What I can tell you is we do not have an access to care problem. We have a shortage, and we have a problem with access to care because of financial arrangements. We have a lack of financial arrangements, and this allows you to have that opportunity to help take care of those patients. So anyway, if we have any questions, let's go and take a look at that.
Yeah,
Stephen?
absolutely. And I mean, like, you didn't earn the nickname the most productive dentist in America by saying no to procedures. You took the procedures to hit your production goal and you did them, and the money came in the door through a variety of ways, including financing folks with compassionate finance. And I have a little something for you today that I was talking about with our friend Paul Goodman. See if I can do a little screen share here real quick. Just on the patient's perspective, you can see this great form here, right? So this is his financial agreement form that he puts in front of folks. And this particular one is for $17,000. Now, as a patient, I look at that and I feel like I'm purchasing maybe a 2016 slightly used Camry for this amount with payments over the course of 3 months. So I
Yep.
said, hey, well, Dr. Goodman, what do you do in a situation like this? And he just said, hey, Stephen, look, I pitch $1,700 worth of care the same way I do as $17,000 worth of care. I'm selling the benefit of the dentistry. So this is the play that I go forward first. And if something doesn't feel right at the line, like sports analogy, like we do here, I make an audible to something like compassionate finance. So the affordability is always there. The dentistry has been sold based on benefit to the patient, and there's room, and there's room to work with them. So he feels that, having compassionate finance in his tool belt is just absolutely essential, especially when doing some bigger cases. So I just thought that that was cool. I always see these beautiful forms floating around online, and they look great, but I mean, some of those numbers can be scary. So being able to chop that up a little bit, I think is fantastic.
You bet. You bet. I love it. I love it. And we've come up with forms, and we have a lot of different forms that we use. So that's pretty exciting. So Q&A, I noticed Richard had a question.
Yeah, our friend Richard over at Dental Intel had a question. I got to get one of those trucker hats, Richard. One of these days, you got to send one to me and Dr. Baird. Love to get one of those. Those are cool things. But his
Yeah.
question was, what about automated recurring payment plans on a credit card rather than doing financing?
Yeah, well, Richard's good point. A lot of people, I know, T-Bone talks about that. And first of all, if you write down their credit card number and you keep it there, software, obviously you guys are software guys. I mean, if it's kept in a software and protected place, well, then you could do that. Only problem is now you're going to have an entire bank of collection people when that credit card balance goes over balance, when it gets turned down, when they no longer have that credit card. And it's very different when we do direct payments, other direct payment options. So it is an option, but the credit card company is making the interest, and I like getting the interest because that gives me power, and that's what I like to do. So, but yes, you could do it, but it needs to be in a safe way. Otherwise, it's against the law to keep people's credit cards numbers sitting at your front desk on sticky notes across your screen. So, I hope that answers it.
Perfect. No, yes, was thinking the same thing. Hey, give me your address and I'll send you some hats. All right, there we go.
Good
Oh,
deal. Good deal.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Dr. Baird, I don't know if you have any other words of wisdom for us today, or
No, I'm sorry again that we had to change yesterday. I think we're going to probably start going on Monday mornings instead of Monday afternoons because it seems like I'm going to be on the road a lot going. I know I'm going to be in Jacksonville in the motorhome going to work with some dentists down there. I just got done working with some dentists up in Kansas. So I'm now mobile consulting basically. And mornings tend to be a little easier for me than I can get on the road. So but Stephen, you and I will talk about that. And thank you
We
guys
could talk
for being
about
on today.
the mobile dentist TV show. I mean, I would love to see Dr. Baird almost bar rescue style walking into a practice and getting them on the right procedures and the right things. I think that would be some amazing content. That'd be
Yeah, I can see me coming in the motorhome and taking out a third molar, helping out somebody. So yeah, it'd be good if I'm in your area. Just you can track me. It's like, where's Waldo? Hey, Bruce is just outside of Atlanta. Why don't you holler at him? Tell him to come by. We need some help on something. So or place a couple implants. So it's all
very
good.
that's a good concept. Dallas is the home of one of only 3 dentists that operates in a tiny home. So there's all sorts of interesting dentistry out there. So that would be great. But I like your idea for maybe doing it on mornings. So check our Facebook channel, check your email. We'll get you the time for next week. And of course, you can always watch Outstanding Balance, our program, over on our YouTube channel. Link will be sent in the email.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You guys too.